So I'm living in the Philippines, talking to you today from my house, which is located in a town called Valencia, which is about 20-minute drive from Dumaguete City. And today I want to tell you my story and a little bit about myself, my journey from England, where I was born, to ending up here in the Philippines. So I was born in England. That's where the accent comes from, you know. Always get the comments of, you don't sound American. Well, that's why, because I am also British. I was in England until I was 26 years old. And due to a marriage to an American woman, my first marriage, I ended up moving to USA. I grew up in a typical household in England. It was my mother and father were not religious. My father was actually very successful businessman, and which didn't actually help me because I became a very spoiled child. Not much love from my father, but he certainly made up for that in gifts and money and everything else he provided for me. I think that was to keep me off his back. Anyway, I moved to America in 1989. I was 26 years old, and the reason I moved there, I had met on a trip to California. I had met a girl, and I got married and moved to USA. I had 2 children. My first marriage, 2 boys, and Daniel and Robert. Daniel is now 32, and Robert's now 27. Time goes quick. I have a great relationship still with my younger son, Robert. Daniel, unfortunately, has decided to distance himself from me, and I can guess at the reasons, but I honestly couldn't tell you for sure why. I can only speculate, but we haven't talked. My oldest son, this is Daniel, we haven't talked in nearly 6 years. That's tough, really difficult, but I'm always here for him, and one day I pray that he will decide he wants to have a relationship with me again, and give me an opportunity. Wow, really difficult doing this. I think I can just sit down and talk, and the emotions, wow. Anyway, one day I hope I get a chance to talk with him, and hopefully I'll be able to tell him I'm sorry for anything I've ever done that's offended him, upset him, anything that the reason he decided he didn't want a relationship with me. I pray that day will come, and anyway, life goes on. I have to move on, and it is what it is. Anyway, so I was in USA in 1989. I went to work for a company. Actually, it was my first job ever when I got to USA, because when I was in England, my father, being a successful businessman, had his own company, and I was working for his company. I hate to say the word working. He was paying me a pretty hefty wage to keep out of his way. And I did, and thought I was quite happy. Actually, that's what really led me to wanting to seek other places to live. I was living in England under the shadow of my father, and spoiled, and not needing or wanting for anything, not achieving anything, not doing anything for myself. And I was really quite depressed, believe it or not, even though I had everything I could want. Was not happy, unfulfilled. People always made the comment, say, you're just your father's son, you only got what you got because of him, which is true. So I did have this urge to get out of his shadow and to go do something for myself, which is what drew me to USA. Anyway, so I started my first job in USA, and I was working for a company that did glass, auto glass. I replaced windows, windshields in cars, which is basically my father's business. So I had, you know, somewhat knowledge of that industry. Um, so after 10 years in the auto glass business, I had quite a bit of money, a bit of savings, everything was looking good financially. I got kind of, well, the industry I was in was changing, and I decided that I wanted to um, do something I enjoyed doing, and that was the martial arts. I'd been kind of involved with martial arts most of my life, and got seriously into it again, to a level where I was actually teaching, and had an opportunity to become owners in a school. So I got to know a fellow student. His name was David, and he was an inspiration to me. He was the one that would first. He was the one that just first talked about Jesus Christ openly to me, and he was a very proud Christian, and not embarrassed to talk about the subject. Um, of course, when he first started telling me he was a Christian and what he believed, I thought he was crazy, and I didn't take it very seriously at first. Anyway, after several meetings with him, lunch meetings we used to have, he would always bring up conversations about Christianity and pushing me to think about life and the purpose and all that. And he did get me thinking. And one day he offered offered a book to me and said to me, would you just do this one thing for me? Would you read this book? Just read it and see what you think. And I'm not really much of a book reader, but he's a good friend. And I thought, you know what, maybe it'll be good for me to read a book. So I said, yeah, okay, I'll read it. So he gave me this book, and I'd kind of promised him that I would read it. So I did. The book's name was called The Case for Christ, written by Lee Strobel. And I got to be honest, that book had a huge impact on me. I read it a couple of times, and the book is really just compelling evidence about the life, death, resurrection of Jesus Christ, and in a way that I never thought about. So it got me seriously thinking that maybe there is something to this story. Of course, I'm the kind of person that I can't just think something might be true and believe it. I've lived my life a certain way, and then suddenly you're telling me life isn't what I thought it was. That was eye-opening, reading that book. Anyway, it just left. It opened up the door to more questions for me about God. And okay, so there was this figure Jesus, and it appears from the historical text that he rose from the dead. As incredible as that sounds, maybe there's an answer to that. I don't know. So anyway, after it took about a year, I think, of constantly going out to lunches with David, and every time I'd meet with him, I would bring up some objection. Maybe it's one of the crazy stories in the Bible, which I'm sure some of you laugh at too. I mean, when you read about talking snakes, donkeys, people rising from the dead, virgins giving birth. I mean, it all sounds ridiculous if you look at it from a naturalistic point of view, as it did to me. But after about a year, I felt like I'd run out of excuses. Meeting with David every week, I got to the point I had no more questions. He had pretty much given me a good answer to everything I had ever asked him, and I got to the point where I was just like, you know what? Maybe this really is true. Maybe what I need to do now is take a little bit of a leap of faith and just accept that it's true and give my heart to Jesus. Um, well, with the massive help of David's father, who's also, well, we call him Dave, um, he really jumped in and pushed me over the edge to accepting Christ. I got to know him very well, and he's one of my great friends now. And he got me over the hump there, and to the point where one day I met with a whole bunch of friends, and I accepted Jesus Christ. That was done with my heart, and I meant it when I did it. So after I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior, I guess I was kind of a little bit on fire for a few months, and enjoyed going to church. Actually, even started a Bible group. I was so excited. I got a few of my Christian friends that didn't know each other, and kind of asked if they would be interested in doing a Bible group, and we set up this group with four of us. I knew all three of the others, and none of them knew each other, and we started this group. And to this day, so this is going on 20 years. To this day, these guys are still meeting every Friday morning, and they're all very close friends. And there's a whole bunch of stories I can tell you that were miraculous from these meetings. Anyway, that's for another time. So yeah, Bible group's still going today. Incredible. So after a few months of me being kind of excited about being a new Christian, born again, and I can't pinpoint one thing, but I just started to get less interested, started to focus more on me, and this led my life down a horrible path. I think, well, I know what the problem was. Looking back, is when I accepted Jesus, I did it and I meant it, but I never submitted myself completely to Him. I gave Him a little bit of me, and I think God wanted all of me, and I was too interested in this world and what this world has to offer. Still, like material items, cars, houses, spending money, going places. Yeah, that stuff was obviously still important to me, more important to me than God, I guess, at the time. And I guess I opened the door up to be attacked by evil thoughts. I think they call this spiritual warfare in the Bible, and believe me, it's real. I experienced it. So yeah, I started making bad choices. And everything just started going wrong. Almost within a few months from me becoming a Christian, everything started falling apart. Starting with my father, who passed away in 2003. And with that, this is another really long story I can't get into, but my father, who did have a lot of money at some point, ended up doing something not so smart on his will, and ended up costing all his children, and we didn't get one penny out of the inheritance we thought we'd get. Still, should never be counting on something like that, should we? So lost out big time there. And without my father, who was also helping support me through his company, who I was a partner in, I started seeing my finances go down, and marriage was declining pretty horrible. I started drinking and getting quite down. Started investing in some what seemed like great opportunities and putting money into these investments that one after the other just bombed and cost me. Ended up getting divorced in 2008 and sold our house, which had actually declined in value about 30–40%, which was 2008. So that's when we hit some kind of a recession in US, and everything was, all the house prices and everything was going down. I think a lot of people got hurt from that around that time. And anyway, so with what money I got out of that, I got into more investments. You know, some of these opportunities I had did seem good, but one bad piece of bad luck after another, and ended up just one failure after another, till I pretty much had very little left. One dark day through the stock market and a very bad decision, I got pretty much wiped out. So, you know, I find myself for the first time in my life without enough income to support myself, without my own business, without a job, and got pretty depressed, to the point where I actually even thought about taking my life. An opportunity came up from a friend actually, my business partner in the martial arts. His friend had a factory he had in China, and he was getting involved in a new project, and offered me and my friend partner an opportunity to get involved. I took the offer to go to China, and the whole thing was another failure, another mess up. But I found myself in China. Sorry guys, I'm going to need to pause the video at this point. I've been talking a little bit too long, and I think it's best for me to continue my story on the next video. On the next video, I'm going to pick up from when I was in China, and what happened to the business, and what happened to my life, and the horrible turn it took, where I found myself living a very sinful, unhealthy life, and kind of broke me. But praise God, there's a good ending to this story, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you what God has done in my life since I chose to submit myself to Him fully. Please subscribe and like the video. Help me get going here. Appreciate your time. Guys, take care. God bless.